of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Chistero. Chapter 41. Happy birthday! After a week filled with its usual shenanigans and laughter, Katsuki had won his school shot put and 500-meter run, whilst Izuku had achieved gold for the 100 and 200-meter sprints. Both were elated. Both had proudly held out their medals for the others to bring over. He'd taken their photo, arms slung over each other's shoulders, smiles jubilant. Spinner, as he preferred to be called, had come by every other afternoon to play games and talk shit with the teens, and, wonderful as it was, he had made a real impression on Tsuyu, who he'd taken a shine to straight away.
Damn, look at her. Laughing, smiling, and loving as she is. It's inspirational, you know. She gives me hope for my little sister.
Tsuyu, in turn, preened under his praise of her. He had promised to join the next self-defense lesson and wanted to practice with her and Ochako, who he'd similarly been impressed by. His younger sister, only 10 months old, was a little too young to visit without her mother just yet. However, Spinner had been beyond pleased with the girls cooing over pictures of her. He could hardly wait to bring his mother and the tailed infant for a visit, and had been blown away when the other little boys had told him how cute they thought she was. His mom was busily working in the business she and his father had built from nothing whilst nurturing her baby. Izuku, of course, had been leading the approval, his emerald eyes glinting enchantedly as he told the teen all about the many, many ways in which her prehensile tail could be used, how she could become an amazing person capable of great things as a pro hero or anything else that she wanted to be. He told him, too, of course, that his ability to climb all over walls was super amazing! Imagine all of the places that you could go that others couldn't! I think you'd make a fantastic firefighter if you didn't want to go down the hero route, Spinner Knee! What? Well, that is if you, Dabini, and Tomoni don't start up your own video game company. God bless that adorable big-hearted tat and his wonderful brain. Furthermore, the Cat Cafe had proved to be a roaring success. The MU students melted beneath the feline attention. The study group endeavored to produce the best work they could at a faster rate just to get in there, and by the end of the week, every cat had at least 2 official sponsors helping to pay their way, and Tomoko, her smiles more genuine and manner more relaxed, had really taken to cafe life too. The regular customers adored her, the middle school girls fond of her costume and begged for selfies, and in terms of someone who would look after and tend to the cat's every need when he, Dabi, and Tomura were busy, well, he couldn't have asked for anyone better. Then with Saturday came the mounting excitement for Hitoshi and Denki's shared birthday party on Sunday. The iris-haired boy had spoken to his mother on the video call app that her detention house used, and despite the tears he knew she was concealing, she praised all of the wonderful things he'd been doing and told him to have the best time ever, okay? God, it was so wrong that she couldn't be with them to celebrate the boy's big day. However, in the final 5 minutes of the call, he'd been able to quickly talk with her whilst the Tomura took the soon-to-be 7-year-old down the back stairs and into the cat maintenance room to help Tomoko groom Hime, whilst Dabi oversaw the quiet cafe. Shouta, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to see him smile like that. She breathed, those lustrous eyes more alive now than he'd ever remembered seeing them. How's his mother? You can't know what that means to me, she said, as though he'd done something spectacular. All he could do, all he would do, was love the kid like he deserved to be loved whilst they waited for her. They weren't even a month into her ridiculous sentence yet, were they? Then the call ended. He'd gone into his room to finish wrapping the presents, 4 of which had already been flashily covered, the gift tags for both Hitoshi and Denki, reading that they were from Dabi-ni and Tomo-ni. Such good kids. Before heading down to give the flame quirk user his break. However, when he entered the service bar area, after a quick spot check around his kitchen, cleanliness was something you could never forget about, he found his lodger glaring out of the bay windows as a group of men approached. Looks like the targeted prick has finally decided to pay us a visit, huh? The team murmured as they caught sight of the 3 police force officers in between the customers sat outside, their forms partially visible between the bright flashes of the flapping yellow-red parasols that were shifting in the breeze.
So was Ibs,
he murmured.
Tomura and Hitoshi are with Tomoko.
he told him, his smile fond.
Why don't you head on back there and see if Homura needs a brushing?
He offered.
You sure?
The younger man asked, his arms folded staunchly.
If they're here to beg favors or give us any more bad news, then I'll take care of it,
he assured fondly, his hand plucking out and waving his phone at the youth.
I'll text you if I need them escorted off the premises,
he added with a wink, the other huffing at him before he rolled his eyes and left the service bar area, his hands throwing a friendly wave at Mimi-chan and the girls as he walked past them. Ding ding! Looking to the door, his brain stalled for a nanosecond, though, for one of the men his head was a cat! Wow! Shouta regarded Sugarame Kenji with a slight bow.
Welcome to the Noriko Cafe,
he greeted.
What could I get you?
Smiling and nodding in turn. Dear God, the cat-headed man had a bell on his uniform's collar instead of a torble. The beagle-featured lieutenant looked back at the two people behind them while gesturing to each in turn.
Aizawa-san,
he stated.
These are two of my finest rookies,
he offered.
Tamakawa-sanza is a superb junior officer, and Sukauchi no Masa is on the fast-track course to becoming a detective,
he furthered pleasantly.
I am hoping to ensure their success that we could potentially hire your expert services.
Ah, yes! Now that he remembered, the senior of the three had asked about tutoring for some of his men in martial arts, hadn't he?
I see.
He alighted.
My server says you would like private tuition,
he asked.
My Sundays are becoming increasingly busy,
he furthered, his eyes looking down at his schedule.
However, depending on what you'd like me to teach, what time frame we're working with, and any accreditation you wanted them to have,
he mused.
I can start working with them from next Sunday, starting at 1500 and finishing at 1630 to give me half an hour before my first adult class starts,
he added, a pencil quickly sketching in slots upon the calendar he kept on the shelf beneath the bar.
Is that agreeable, or...
Looking back up, Shouta felt his right brow cocking as the gruff trenchcoat wearer, damn, wasn't he too hot in that? Regarded him bewilderedly. His younger friends, closer to his age, wow. He wondered if Tamakawa's fur was as soft as it looked. Doing the same, he stood a little straighter.
If you were expecting to begin tomorrow, then... no, that was done. Forgive me.
Tsugarame-san breathed with a bow, which was mirrored by his associates, a few of his regular Saturday crowd looking on in interest.
I hadn't thought that you'd be so, well, agreeable,
he furthered. Folding his arms, his expression imperious, the cafe owner somehow stopped himself from rolling his eyes.
You asked me if it was possible, and it is,
he stated.
So does that time of day work for you? I will make sure that it does, Aizawa-san. Thank you!
The lieutenant nodded, his nose twitching slightly, whilst his ears perked.
So you've been able to open your cafe, Aizawa-san. Congratulations.
He furthered.
Thank you,
he replied.
Would any of you like anything to eat or drink?
He pushed. And no, it wasn't because he wanted to entice the cat-pigeon man to stay. He wasn't that interesting or cute. God damn it, seeing Tomoko lose her mind over him wasn't something you wanted to watch either.
It is awfully hot outside, sir.
The similarly raven-haired man smiled. I don't know. Almighty did say that we shouldn't come by and not try the lemonade, didn't he? He grinned, the tabby cat quirk man nodding enthusiastically with a wide bleeding smile. Dear God, his neck bell had jangled. The guy was probably too old to be officially adopted, wasn't he? His look just screamed cafe mascot, though.
Oh, very well done.
Their leader chuckled.
Since I'm pushing you youngsters so hard, I should treat you every so often, shouldn't I?
He mused whilst reaching for his wallet, his gaze looking up at the chalkboard menu overhead, his eye widening.
And this lunch won't exactly break the bank now, will it?
Gently guiding a comb through Homura's soft fur to eke out any loose strands, Dabi looked through the maintenance room's window to see Hitoshi and Tomura sat at the back of the enclosure, the Bombay kittens dancing around the toys they offered, whilst Gigi slept in his favorite place. Then his eyes shifted to Komoko, who was pretty cool, for a wannabe hero, who was talking to a group of middle schoolers who were sat in the enclosure, their gentle touches soothing a freshly brushed Hime, whilst Red Riot and the other kittens launched themselves around their shelves-based high-up playground. Halfway, however, was curled next to Hombra, her tongue giving his sealed-up eye a clean. The more he looked at them, the more he saw resemblances between himself and Sho. Not that his employer would ever lick him, wasn't a logical thought. But even though Hitoshi, so much younger, and Tomura, even more isolated than him in many ways, were sharing his time with the man, Shouta always checked in with him, talked to him, valued what he thought and felt. He'd not cast him to the wayside when someone younger and more deserving of his attention had appeared. He bzz, 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 blinking, his turquoise eyes moving to his phone, the one his official guardian had bought for him. Bankruptcy! He knew it was coming. Dabi looked down at the message. Aizawa Shouta, you're getting a new big brother. It wasn't like the older man to send such a strange, oddly direct message, was it? Aizawa Shouta. Or uncle. What? Aizawa Shouta. Katni. Dabi. Are you okay? Aizawa Shouta. Where are you? Dabi. In the back, right? Aizawa Shouta. Can you see the enclosure? Humming, the flame quirk user looked through the mostly soundproof chamber's main door's viewing window, his eyes widening. Dabi. Aha! He typed back, a laugh bubbling up and out of him as several amazing things happened all at once. Tomoko, the poor guy hadn't stood a chance, had launched herself as a man dressed as a police force officer because, like Midnight and some of the tats, she didn't know what personal space was, her body flitting around him whilst asking questions that he couldn't hear, but had the tabby blushing. In the enclosure, Hitoshi was balking whilst Tomura, that's my man, was secretly filming the whole thing, his grin shit-eating, whilst the kittens, clearly sensing one of their own, started to descend upon the man from their shelves-based playground, his form bewilderedly frozen in place, whilst the felines and Ragdoll dabbed him with attention. Shouta and the other two officers, however, were stood snickering near a tittering knitting nook. Both. The posse of older ladies looked like they were completely enamored by the cop, too. It was a shame that he was in such a shitty profession, wasn't it? Dabi. Why are they here? Aizawa Shouta. Self-defense lessons. These two are on a fast track, or something. He wrote back, a little shrugging emoji following before Aizawa changed D's name in the chat. D to Aizawa Dabi. A.D. Aizawa Shouta. Too much? Blinking, his cheeks pinking. A touch? Dabi tapped back. No. That's good, thanks. Waving the police force off and on their way with a... He'd not said it aloud for fear of causing offense. He shared his thoughts with the teens, though, and laughed snorted into their yakisoba doggy bag of cookies and promises to be in touch regarding the regular lessons. Aizawa sound pleased that fee is unreasonable. That's what all of the adults pay. But...
We are asking for special treatment. You're giving us extra time. Please, if we'd approached anyone else, why they'd be charging 10 times as much as what you're asking.
The rest of the afternoon ambled on by pleasantly enough. Denki, who was celebrating his actual birthday with his family today, was sending them all pictures of his antics, and if he'd been quietly pleased when the boy had photographed the store-bought cake his uncle had gotten for him, dry sponge, scant filling, tacky fondant, and captioned it with, "This is kinda icky compared to yours, Shoni," then he'd not let it show. Spinner, pleasantly enough, had come by, and enjoyed a few games with the other teens. He wouldn't be able to make the tots' birthdays tomorrow, but he'd sneaked him a little bag.
It's nothing big, but kids still like keychains, right?
He'd assured them that anything would be gratefully received, and had promised to take pictures of them with the gifts, too. It was wonderful to see the three of them together, each still hurting in their own way, but even after a week of companionship, he could see a difference in all of them. A positive difference! Then, towards the evening, Bubble Girl came by with a few brightly colored bags containing gifts, and a few cards she and her fellow sidekick had signed for them. He told both Sornada and All Might not to go overboard. He was glad that they'd listened. You could see the telltale blonde rabbit ears of the number one's plush toys from here. The local pros swung by, too, to pick up Tomoko for patrol, with Midnight whispering to him as she left, can handle right for tomorrow night, can you? Rolling his eyes fondly at her as she winked at him, he felt himself ruefully shaking his head and going back to wiping down tables. A little voice in the back of his head was flagging up that his teens, all crowded in the front booth, were talking about shovels, and that he should be concerned about it. Humming to himself before shrugging it off, perhaps Mimi-chan had asked them to help maintain flower beds or something. Shouta had then gone to grab his mop bucket so that he could do his favorite task. Double the toilets, he'd failed to realize at the time, meant double the cleaning, didn't it? Wonderful. Tucking Hitoshi into bed that night, the tot only needing a light cotton sheet thanks to the room's aircon, Shouta finished off the story they'd been reading with a smile. Tomura and Dabi were in the decay quirk user's room. The cafe was locked up tight, and the security system was silently doing its job, the CCTV diligently keeping watch. Shoni? I think I've changed my mind about, becoming a hero. The iris-haired child murmured, those dark eyes, no longer rimmed with dark circles, looking up at him. Oh? He smiled softly. Care to share? He asked. The top breathed, his expression a little pensive. I'm not sure if I'm, smart enough. Hitoshi, he said softly, deft fingers running through that soft wavy hair. You're one of the smartest, bravest, most capable people I know, he stated, and you know that I'm not in the habit of saying things that I don't mean, right? He assured. Whatever it is you want to be, you'll be able to do it, because you're incredible. We are community, friends, and family. Well, we'll all be rooting for you every step of the way, and helping you when you need us, all right? Nodding, his little face becoming determined, the child looked at him. I want to be a lawyer, he said firmly. Not one of the ones who does it for money. I want to become someone who can change things for the better like you do, he said, his tone laced with conviction. I want to be someone who will help people like my mom and fight to make the laws fairer, and lawyers are allowed to use their quirks, right? He asked. Then I can use it to get to the truth, to stop bad people from getting away with lying, can't I? Blinking at the child, his arms reaching for him before he could stop himself, Shouta scooped the boy into his arms and held him while he sniffled. Hitoshi, he murmured. That is a wonderful ambition to have, he told him, his smile broadening. I think that you'll make an excellent lawyer, he praised. I think that you'd be a force to reckon with, and far, far more powerful than even All Might when it comes to the criminal underworld with. He chuckled, the boy laughing too. Just promise me one thing, all right? Anything, Shoni, he replied, his tone a little shaky. Keep training with me, he murmured. The path you want to walk will be a difficult one, he told him quietly. And I want to make sure that you can look after yourself, okay? Because when you're old enough to realize your new dream, when you become someone who is going to make such amazing changes, those changes will not be loved by everyone, he said quietly. So please let me help you to help yourself, alright? I will, Shoni, the other breathed. I'll make you and Mom so proud of me. Oh, Hitoshi, he said into the boy's ear. We are already so proud of you, and we will always be proud of you no matter what, okay? When Sunday morning arrived, he'd slipped out of bed at his usual time, chucked on Hitoshi, fast asleep, teddy bear cuddled, his teens very carefully, he didn't want to be intrusive. They were passed out on Tomura's futon, Dabi curled around his partner as they slept, and instead of his run, he'd gone to set up the water park. The cakes were ready to go. Denki's favorite chocolate with an extravagant whipped Nutella filling, chopped up cashew nuts, raspberries, and chantilly cream, as opposed to Hitoshi's light sprinkle baked-in cake with vanilla buttercream, strawberry compote filling, and freshly whipped cream accented with lavender and honey. He piped the boys' names atop each in their favorite colors, gold for Denki, blue for Hitoshi, dotted them with sugared edible flowers. He had a selection of candles and sparklers purposely set to one side. He'd seen such things online and was sure that they'd enjoy the spectacle, and left them in the chiller, ready for when the party would start at 10:00. They'd scheduled the festivities to run from then until 1500, and the adults all having agreed to attend earlier self-defense classes, he'd have from 1830 to get ready for his date, He was being picked up at 19:30. He'd told midnight, and he hoped it'd come across kindly, that he couldn't be out past 2300. Inko, that sweetheart, had agreed to Hitoshi having a sleepover at her house with Izuku, but on top of having work the next morning, he didn't want to be out too late in case his teenagers needed him. He'd not told her as much. However, with a kind, endearing smile, she told him unequivocally that she just wanted to give him a good time without keeping him away from his family. She was a wonderful woman, wasn't she? Happy birthday, Hitoshi! They'd eaten breakfast together in the cat enclosure. The felines had enjoyed a good play. Haoi had marshaled the kittens when they tried to dive after food, and Gigi, in an uncharacteristic display of affection to someone other than Tomura, plunked himself into his lap and nuzzled his way under his t-shirt. The teens and their youngest family member had found it hilarious. He had thought it was adorable. His stilted laughter loosed when the old feline's whiskers tickled against his side as he'd curled in for a nap. Then, their gifts given. What? Tomini Dabini, thank you. These sunglasses are so cool and I love these t-shirts. They're awesome. Can I wear one today, please? Aren't you danky wearing matching shirts today? I can change out of this one when he gets here, can't I? He'd watched the boy fawn over the games he's gotten for him. We gotta play this during the party. I've always wanted to try Dungeons and Dragons Shoni. Thank you. And they had all received plenty of hugs. Then, when 10 o'clock arrived, the other tots had descended upon them in their shirt and short-covered swimwear, their joyous farms flinging into the pools, shooting each other with their water pistols, and their parents, elated, had watched their antics with pleased smiles and happy laughter. At 12, the cakes had been brought out, the birthday boys were ducked in their best birthday bros wear, and everyone had enjoyed watching them blow out the candles, gush over the sparklers lit a la Dabe, and carve out their first pieces of their desserts with pleased grins. This, of course, led to even more present opening. Together, the parents and guardians had spoiled the little boys rotten with all kind of gifts, praise, and hugs. The cats had been more than happy to indulge in the attention. The tots had similarly been throwing themselves back outside to plunge into the pools or dance under the hoses, and really, he couldn't have imagined a more perfect day for them. And Denki, in a quieter moment, had approached him, asked for a hug, and told him that,
I know that I'm really lucky, Shoni, to have my mom and dad, but I think the luckiest thing that happened to me was to come here, be my best friends, and meet you too.
Somehow he'd fought back the tears threatening to prickle his lashes. Then, the end of the party drawing near, he'd waved off Ochako. Her father had embraced him firmly. Nezu had been true to his word. He was starting a new construction-based job for the animal quirk man's school next week with Gin-san. Their money troubles were over. His wife elated, after ruffling her hair. Suyu had left next, her father elated at her having had another wonderful memory to treasure. Then Eijiro and Katsuki, thick as thieves, rushed his legs with twin hugs, thanked him for such a good time, and said, "We want a party just like this next year, Shoni!" before they and their mothers had left. Like Izuku, Hitoshi, and Genki, however, had stayed for much longer. Whilst Inko and Ume continued to chat, drink coffee, and laugh, he told the other boys' parents that they could stay as long as they liked. He certainly wasn't brave enough to tell Tomura, his role of dungeon master absolute, that the other children needed to go. It was great to see Inko building another friendship, wasn't it? It felt good to see so many smiles, didn't it?